for the Pathology Informatics meeting, and I'm very grateful for his partnership in helping push this forward. Without further ado, John.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. Again, thank you for coming to the meeting. We really appreciate it. It was a good meeting this year. A lot of energy, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you guys to stay for the last session, right? Sections, right? The hardcore people, I really appreciate this tremendously. Now, I'm going to give you this very inscrutable title here. And so what I'm going to talk about really is, well, back up. How many of you are directors of an informatics program, or in a department of pathology or anything like that? Most of you, right? You're pathologists. Okay. What do you think your most important job is? Run the LIS? Maybe. I would say the most important job of an informatician in a department of pathology today is to find a way so that every single pathologist in your department, or at least most of them, believe in their soul that informatics is central to being a pathologist. If we can do that, then all those great things we talked about here will actually happen. If we don't, there's not enough of us, and someone else will do it. So I'm going to start by telling you a story. Not this story. This story. Okay. About 5 years ago, I was interviewing for my current position at Mass General with the new chairman there, David Lewis. And Dr. Lewis proposed his vision of pathology informatics and pathology of the future. He called it the Mickey Mouse Plan. Okay? He had a picture of Mickey Mouse. Now, I am a highly trained informatics professional. I knew not to laugh out loud. Okay? Okay, I said, "Very interesting, sir." The sir confuses them. They don't know what to do with it exactly. Okay? But I'm glad I did, because Dr. Lewis turned out to be a very sophisticated and very aggressive supporter of informatics. And the plan really wasn't about Mickey Mouse at all. It was about the shape of his head. Because his vision was this, that in his department, informatics and molecular would be the growth areas, the transformational areas. And as they would grow, they would infuse the clinical services with new ideas, a lot more data, and new techniques, which in turn would transform the way we would practice medicine and understand disease. Now, you might be saying, that's pretty simple. Everyone says that. But when your chairman says that, for you trainees, when your chairman says that, that's gold. That's wonderful, okay? I was psyched. I was in my mind, high-fiving myself. I was really good. But then he said something else. There's always a caveat, right? And here's the caveat. He knew how molecular would transform pathology, because molecular was transforming pathology, right? It had been embraced by virtually all the pathologists and all the subspecialties. It had been central to the way pathologists were thinking about disease, and you know this. And molecular concepts had been defining pathology's vision of itself, right? We are the molecular guys, right? An example of this, for years, for decades, we had anatomical pathology and clinical pathology. It worked fine. It was good enough for Castleman, for Christ's sake. I mean, good God. Probably good enough for Bisich. Maybe not, okay? But either way, we were too cool for that. We were cutting edge. We changed. It's subtle, okay? But you see the influence of informatics. I mean, come on. Anatomic and molecular pathology, it takes too long to say it, but it's important to note what's happening here. Informatics mattered. To be a pathologist, you are a molecular pathologist in their mind. You might not run the sequencers, but you understand the molecular consequences of your disease, right? Now, that wasn't happening in informatics, right? He did not know, nor I did not know, how or if informatics could hold up its end of the bargain. There was obvious potential, and you know there's this potential, right? Pathology generates a lot of data, the 70% rule, all that stuff. But pathology generates that data. Informatics doesn't. We kind of manage it, right? But you're not transformational to manage stuff. Not really. It doesn't help us to understand disease, the pathology issue here. Okay? The stakes were actually quite high in many ways. If we couldn't do this, right, we'd end up with a deformed, multi-billion-dollar icon and probably the hatred of every child on earth. Okay? More importantly, if pathology wasn't interested in doing this, somebody else would, like central IT, right? Okay? All right. Or, some biomedical informatics place, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here was the mission that they gave me, or I gave myself. We talked about it. Could we make informatics embraced by most of our pathologists in all of our subspecialties? Could we make it central to the way pathologists think of themselves? Okay, that was the mission several years ago. Okay, the answer is we can. But when you do that, you change informatics. It can't be a subspecialty anymore, right? Can't be, by definition. Okay. So there are two levers you have when you're running a department. You can have the faculty or the trainees. We'll start with the faculty. Actually, there's a lot of literature, well, a fair amount of literature. Well, there is literature about the structure of pathology informatics in a division in a department of pathology. And Bruce Friedman, who is in the audience, sitting there, wrote a seminal paper years ago, actually 22 years ago. My God. Bruce, he's okay, he's alive still. And it's important. And his idea was you'd have a separate division of pathology informatics, okay? And all the informatics geeks guys would go into that division and deal with the computers, because computers were evil and hard to deal with, and all the pathologists would do the pathology stuff, and it'd be fine. And that model was good, and has remained the main model for a long time. 2 years ago, at Pathology Informatics 2010, how many were there? That's impressive. Guys, the guys who were there who go every meeting here, they look a lot better than the guys who don't. Just telling you. So next year, show up. Okay, but it's a large number here, actually. I'm very impressed by that. But they had a debate. It was a great debate. It was probably it could have been compared to Lincoln and Douglas, probably, but it wasn't. But Mike was talking about taking this division and making it into a department, and that makes perfect sense in a lot of ways. We were saying something else. You break up the division. Yeah, the diaspora of pathology informaticians, and we did that at Mass General. If you go to Mass General today, there will be no division of informatics as Bruce would have identified. All of our faculty are embedded into other divisions of the department, every single one except me. And there's a reason for that. You think of it, what a catalyst does, right? You want to give as much surface area to the solution as possible. So all these little yellow dots are informaticians. You get them out there, and you get the most, we call it the maximum transformational effect. Okay, it does a number of things. It doesn't allow me as director to constrain growth or thought. I'm not the come to me and do something. No, if you want to do it, we'll give you resources. You do it. Okay, if it grows, great. You'll grow more. Fantastic. It anchors this into the department. It's part of the department. Now, it can't go anywhere. You can't pull it out and go it somewhere. It's in the department. And more importantly than anything else, if you think about this, it makes every other director in this department my friend. Because if I want to hire someone in informatics, in the old model, I get someone in my little group, in my little office cluster, probably a block away. And the guy who runs CP, laboratory and molecular medicine, okay, he would not like that because he wants that resource in his division. But if I can give him a pathology informatician in his division, man, he loves me, right? It makes sense. It works. Okay? It also gives you this accessible presence for everybody. You want everyone to become an informatician, they have to meet people, right? See people signing out everywhere. Residents see this and say, that might be a real career path, and this works. You can have a large and diverse fellowship program because there is an informatician in every part of our department. To get more fellows, and some fellows will stay and they'll grow. It certainly simplifies collaboration with the non-believers, right? And you get them in somehow. And more interestingly, it allows us to really and truly recruit resident candidates who are interested in informatics, because we have a large constituency in our department to say, oh, Joe Smith, he's a resident candidate. He is a programmer. We like this. And it's not just me, because if it's myself, they wouldn't care less. Okay, it's important. Okay, you generate a lot of interest this way. If I had a couple weeks ago we had a meeting about informatics. We had over a third of the department was involved. Okay, this is pretty big, huge, and that does not include the people who just couldn't be there. Okay. Huge amount of people here. It works somehow. And then it goes out of control. I didn't expect this. Okay? They begin to cluster together, little groups, okay? The principal component of this is basically, AP or CP or that kind of stuff, but the secondary component is really informatics. We're all imaging guys. We're all decision support guys. We're bioinformatics guys. You build this group in the department, and it grows again. It's very interesting to watch. You let it go. The key, all I did was say, okay, I'm not involved. Go do it. Walk away. It helps. Now, we call these things informatics domains because they call them something, but interestingly, most of these domains have nothing to do with the LIS at all. Okay? Nothing. We still run the LIS. We have medical directors of the LIS. We have a CP director and an AP director. The AP director, my God, a saint. He walks around with lollipops. The fellow, is that true? He's walking with lollipops. When the AP pathologists do this because, whatever's happening, he gives him a lollipop and it calms him down. This is true, okay? True. It is true. But beyond that, most of them are involved in LIS at all. Not at all, okay? They do other things. And that's important also, because if we're just running the LIS, we're not getting where we want to go, basically. Okay? All right. Now to get you into the levels of, into the world of high IT architecture at Partners Healthcare System, okay? There's a reason for this, okay? At Partners, we recently decided to buy Epic because everyone else was. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's going to be our clinical enterprise layer across the entire enterprise. It's going to save the world. There's a DICOM layer under with that, right, across enterprise. And then there is a LIS layer. This is important. We fought for that. And our enterprise was smart enough to understand that the laboratory matters and it's different. Okay? That's not the issue today, but if you look at the enterprise here, this enterprise thing, it's interesting because notice we have a common LIS around 6 departments of pathology. A living hell. Interesting governance issue, okay? So we don't call it the LIS, we call it the layer. It's more than the LIS, obviously. It's not just the AP and CP systems that link together and that kind of stuff. It's organization, it's operations, all these things in there. And if you look at this layer carefully, well, I'll give you another diagram. I'll blow this up into another diagram here. I'm going to get rid of some part of that. Just look at the blue stuff there. That really is the systems layer, okay? And it has 2 layers actually inside of it. One is the classic LIS, right? The typical LIS stack, AP, CP, that kind of stuff. And that's great. But look at this other one here. This is really interesting. Forget the words, because the words seem to change every 2 months. But what these are the clusters that came out of our department that will now have their own systems. And these systems have nothing to do with the LAS. They'll connect to the LAS because we want that. That's the right thing to do. But they're different. And they're based on pathologists. Now, there are similar things happening on the enterprise level, and we'll work with them, obviously. But what the real point for this talk is that the reason we did this, we didn't have to do this. The pathologists didn't have to do this. But the department felt, as a group, in meeting, open meeting, we call this thing computational pathology. I guess everyone else does that too, so I thought we were so smart. The department felt it had to do this, okay? Because those things, decision support, disease modeling, knowledge management, those things were central to what pathology was. And you would not have had that 5 years ago, okay? So that's kind of cool. I think that's very cool. And it gives me great potential. When we do have these large systems being built, the pathology will be ready to use them or to find them. This is important. You just can't have a system and say, okay, AP guys, go for it. It won't work. You got to get it ready. Okay? So, remember the mission? That's the mission. Okay. The faculty, the fellowships. Okay? If the faculty is the foundation, the fellowship is the point of the spear, okay? It's the laboratory. We can do anything we want with the fellows because they're expendable. Well, I didn't say that, did I? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, all right. Well, anyway, we have got a lot of fellows here. We can support a lot of fellows here, okay? I can't rate all their names here, but some of them are in the room here. And one of the first problems you have with the fellowship is, what are you trying to teach? Because pathology informatics is a very vague term. I know you guys have seen the same thing. I wasn't, my first 2 or 3 years here, we'd have these meetings, discuss what is pathology informatics. And first of all, I'd be there, and they never talk to me, first of all. This is Harvard, we all talk to each other because we're all so damn smart. But it always comes down to, pathology and computers and stuff, right? And you can't teach that. At least I can't. But whatever it is, we've got a definition out there. There's a wide field of applied science, engineering, and processes. Machine processes or human processes, right? That's good enough for us anyway. We don't like it, but we like that. It has its own subspecialties, right? And I submit to you that an imager guy and a decision support guy are significantly more different. Did I say that right? More different than a cytologist and a surgical pathologist. Okay? Okay, this is a weird subspecialty, guys, if it is one. Okay, the fellowship itself has to support this, and it does. Oh, this is very quick. You can understand where we go with this. There are 2 parts. You're a fellow here. Basically, you decide on a subspecialty. I'm going to be an X, process modeling guy, disease modeling guy, decision support guy, imaging guy. What are you going to be? Okay, and we'll configure a program for you, and you'll become really smart. And one of these days, you'll give a talk here at this conference, and then. Well, that's it. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, does it? Okay. All right. But then you have to teach the rest of the field, which is hard because it's a huge friggin' field. David McClintock, who's in the audience somewhere here, I think, or he probably left. Oh, he is here. Okay, good. They wouldn't leave. They're afraid. But put together, we look at this formally. There are 92 sessions and 500 reading assignments, and that's not enough. It's a huge problem. Okay, having said that, so we have that, the core course, we have to come to meetings, we have some management retreats every year. If you're a fellow, by the way, in a formal program, anywhere in the country, and you want to come to our retreats 3 times a year, let me know, okay? We'll get you there, okay? That's just this. So here's what am I doing here? Well, this is a, what am I, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot, I hate these machines. Okay, all right, so this is the course, there's the course, it does nice things, we teach all kinds of good stuff. And this is people at a retreat. See, we're all nice people. We smile at the camera. Okay, and we bring people, faculty from outside come and teach in these things. So they're in the room also. Alexis is there, Yul's there, one of these things. But that's not the point. The point is this. Okay, here's the point. Who actually is stupid enough to spend 2 years of their life learning informatics? Especially because when they're at this stage of their life, they can walk out the door and make a lot of cash. Okay? Well, we got them. They come in. Interesting, they're very strong candidates. These are not people that don't have options. Okay? All of them have science degrees for undergraduate. Some come from places like MIT. I'm from MIT. We like it. Excellent basketball team, by the way. Duke, Carolina, Kansas have never beaten MIT in basketball. Never. Okay? Half of our fellows come from our residency program, which is exactly what we want, and you should want too. They get interested early, this first part of the talk, right? They get in, we got them. Almost all have advanced degrees. This is shocking. Either a master's degree, Master of Public Health, whatever, or a PhD. That's significant, actually, when we think about this. And almost all of them did a rotation of informatics in a residency program. So if you can find people who do, it's an obvious indicator. If you're going to do a residency rotation, you might become a fellow later on. It's 8 of 9. It's impressive. And all of them, virtually, will do another pathology fellowship, right? Not just informatics, okay? And these are certain implications here. If you go deeper to this, about 1/3 of our people want to be directors of pathology informatics. They want to be like me. And I'm so, that's cool. And that's good. These are key people for the department. They are the glue of the fellowship. Okay, they're important, really important. These are the people that might work into a clinical informatics fellowship in the future, right? Cool. But 60%, and a growing number, by far the growing area here, are people that have no interest in being a director of informatics. They want to be the chairman. They want to be the director of HemePath. They want to be the director of the core lab. They want to be subspecialty pathologists that have informatics skills, okay? And this is really important. If we're going to go more, if we're going to have, we can't all be director of informatics. It doesn't work. We only need one, right? This is the real key area here. And these people, what they need is an integrated program. So they can teach them, whatever it's going to be, cytology and informatics in a reasonable time frame, and do it right. We can do this now because we are not a formal ACGME fellowship. We're just a fellowship. So we can build all kinds of cool things, and I can do cool PowerPoint. I'm good. But here's a person, and I talked, well, anyway, this is a person, real person, came to my office about a month ago, one of our residents, and here's her problem, okay? She wants to do informatics. Good. CP resident, 3 years. Wants to do micro, 2 years. She thinks that she probably needs to do molecular also because micro is going to become molecular. I think we think so. Now he's what, 6 years. And then if we're really going to do it right, I think we want to do 2 years of informatics. 8 years. And she has an advanced degree. This ain't going to work, right? This just won't work. Now, I know people will tell me that They can figure this out. We'll make the informatics fellowship smaller and this, but that's not the point, really. It's not about informatics. It's about pathology, right? I mean, how many fellowships do you have to do to become a pathologist nowadays? This woman is exactly what we want to have. She is Mickey Mouse, right? I mean, she has both the magic ears here, right? But it takes her 8 friggin' years. It's wrong. Don't know how to fix it, but it's wrong. And this is something we're definitely going to see. I am very sure that if we have this certification issue will have us having fewer fellows in the future, because it's getting harder and harder to deal with this. And it's a real problem. Again, I don't have a solution with that, but it's a solution. More importantly, though, this is what we're going to see, I think. Again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, a couple times. We'll have the guys who want to do Director of Informatics programs. They'll be there, and they'll be good. Okay? But then we'll have other people who may not become informatics fellows in a formal way, but will learn informatics inside of a diagnostic subspecialty. I could easily see myself today, because I have informatics, really good informatics guys, let's say, in chemistry, okay, to do a chemistry fellowship that is deep informatics. And that guy who does this, if they do it, will be just as good as a guy who does an informatics fellowship. I'll assure you of that. There's no question of that. So it's back to the beginning of this talk again. If we want to have pathologists to really be informaticians, we've got to think very carefully about what this means. And we need fellowships, there's no question. But we need more than that, I think, because otherwise it's just not going to happen. So again, here's my summary slides. I'm almost done. We wanted to have informatics be embraced by all of our pathologists. We're well on our way. We really are. It's good. We want informatics to become central to pathology's vision of itself, and I think we're on our way also, and that's good. But if we do this, it transforms, at least to me, what informatics is. It's no longer a subspecialty. It can't be. It might be, but that's not the big part of it, right? It's something else. It becomes less aligned with information systems, okay? At least LIS is. That can happen. And again, it sounds more to me like an intrinsic component of the pathologist's problem. Now, that's just one of my opinion, I understand, but I think it's important to understand that if all the things we want to do here in this conference, we need to do a little bit better than just, I want to be a fellow in informatics for 2 years. That's not enough. With that wonderful idea, so happy, I'll ignore this. We have some citations, in case you want them, about the fellowship program and our department and that kind of stuff. But beyond that, I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker